bringing in my good friend Stone O'Brien. Now, Mr. O'Brien, how do you feel? This is a great, fun, exciting college basketball season. Lots of high-flying teams and different conferences. What are you looking at?
So this weekend, there's actually a bunch of good matchups. Starting off tonight on ESPN2, we have St. Louis versus Loyola Chicago, which is the A-10 is in a logjam up there between third place. Loyola Chicago can get some big points, and St. Louis can put themselves into sole possession of third place tonight. Then Saturday, there's a big day. We've got 1 versus 2 in college basketball, but before that, we've got Houston and Arizona, which is a battle of Big 12 schools that are both in there. They're going to be competing for high 2-3 seeds. You got Alabama and Auburn this on Saturday night, which is incredible matchup. 1 versus 2. Doesn't see that this often, this late into the season, especially given the way conferences plays out. And then Sunday, you've got St. John's, the Cinderella story of the Big East against Creighton, which is going to be a fun matchup.
Well, some teams that I'm really excited about. I mean, we've got Florida, Kentucky, although they just upset Tennessee. Tennessee was upset, but they've got Shaz Lanier and Walter Clayton Jr. For the Florida Gators. Really quickly, out of the SEC, who are the three or four teams that you really think can cut up to the upper echelon?
So Auburn and Alabama, whoever wins that will probably be firmly in there. Florida, as you mentioned, but I got a sleeper team. Tennessee, 7-5 right now in conference play, but you know what? They were highly ranked. The SEC, by far the best non-conference season. And when you get to tournament time, best tournament in the nation, they've got all the teams. You're going to play a couple of days in a row. Who's ever going to come out of that will probably be in a good position to get a good seed in March and maybe bring that momentum to a run in there. It's easily the best league in the nation. You got even the teams in the middle, Kentucky, Arkansas. They had a big rivalry game. Coach Calipari returned back to Kentucky and beat them. And then Tennessee, 7-5, like I mentioned earlier. Just a lot going on in that SEC, and it's just consolidating itself with all the teams at top. It's just a bloodbath.
One quote I heard from, and I don't remember the SEC coach who said this, but it was, the SEC basketball conference is a lot like SEC baseball, where you could lose every conference game you have. I mean, it's cutthroat, it's tough, you even have upsets. But let's shift to East. As you mentioned, St. John's, led by the legendary coach Rick Pitino. And I'm a big fan of Rick Pitino, as you can tell. I love to overdress. I love to wear suits on random days, and so does Rick Pitino. He's really bringing that swagger back, not off the court with his fashion, but on the court with his players as well.
St. John's is an incredible story. They recently had a 10-game winning streak snapped. They're going to rebound this weekend, hopefully, against Creighton. But there's a lot of teams in the Big East as well. Georgetown is improving under their Ed Coley. DePaul, who was really in the gutter of all college basketball, they're 2-12 in conference play, but the non-conference slate and everything Chris Holtmann has done, he's a good program builder, and you saw that. He brought Ohio State back up from a couple down years. We kind of stagnated out, and now we got Jake Diebler running things. But Chris Holtmann is doing a great job getting that program back, and maybe in a couple years down the line we'll see them. UConn, back-to-back national champions.
Yep. Got to watch out.
They are down right now, not having the season up to their standards. I think Dan Hurley could admit that. The players could admit that. But you know what? Come tournament time, the Madison Square Garden, that environment, it's going to be incredible. UConn will probably get into the semifinals, and recently the net changed. So those games will be neutral site games, which will benefit St. John's even more if they keep on winning, maybe shoot up a seed line or two.
And then in the ACC, we just are coming off of Duke. Cooper Flagg tripping and falling against the Clemson Tigers, and I believe the 7th or 8th ranked Duke Blue Devils dropping to Clemson Tigers. But we have not seen a Duke team with this much hype with Cooper Flagg and all of his compatriots and his teammates. Do you think this year could be a Final Four appearance or maybe a championship appearance for a Duke Blue Devils team we haven't seen go up like that in a long time?
Definitely. I mean, we know they've had super loaded teams that fall short in the Elite Eight in incredible classics. Zion Williamson and Michigan State. Taco Fall and Duke.
Taco Fall, the 1-point win. That was a great game.
1-point win. This year, Cooper Flagg, going to be probably the #1 pick in the draft. I think Duke, they could very well get to the Final Four. They just need to avenge those demons that recent losses have brought to them. You got North Carolina, your rival, in the Final Four. That's just a bad loss. Coach K's final year, too. Final Four loss, I think it'll be a good test and good run for Duke. I think they'll redeem themselves and at least get to the Elite Eight this season.
And then shifting out west, I like how we go. We went north, east, south, west. Do you like maybe Gonzaga this year or any other Western Coast teams you're looking at?
UC Irvine is actually probably the best West Coast mid-major. Gonzaga, a little bit of a down year. They're actually trending in danger of being in the last four in territory. But UC Irvine, they're surely in that first four games. They're probably the best mid-major. Kent State played them out in Canada at the Western Jam, I think.
Yep, Western Slam.
Western Slam. That was a close, controversial win. Coaches got into it at the end with a little bit of chippiness. But UC Irvine, I like them. They actually had a game winner last night. And I think if they run the table and make it to the conference tournament final, if they lose that, they could get in as an at-large team. Now, they would result in a bid stealer, affecting maybe one of those SEC teams or those Big 12 teams. Even Ohio State could be in danger if UC Irvine gets upset.
Look out for UC Irvine upsets and maybe the Buckeyes sneaking in. Well, that's all we've got for college basketball, but shifting over to the gridiron, Evan Schofield's going to join me from Couch Island to talk Super Bowl